Hello and welcome back to the Eventual Digression Show. I know it's been a while, but I'm really excited about this one. I'm going to talk about the UFC 314, and I'm so hyped up. I'm really hyped up, because it's been a while. It's been a while since, I don't know, it seems like it's been ages since we have had a stacked up card. And this card looks really good, and I have been really excited to preview this. And I am also very interested to hear from you your opinions and how excited you are about this card. Well, it's been a while. It's been some time that this card has been in the making, and the diversity of this card and the little nuances that are there in terms of the fighters that are there in this card really excites me. So let's dive right in, right? Um, the first fight that excites me is of Patricio Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez in the featherweight bout. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Patricio Pitbull is a beast. Let's start with him. He's a Bellator legend. He's a bona fide Bellator legend. He's a double champ at the featherweight and the lightweight division. He did try to get into the 135 weight class as well, but he didn't make it there. Nevertheless, he has 9 title defenses at featherweight across 3 title reigns. Can you believe that? And he's like a stocky fighter with great power. He has the most wins, the most title defenses, the most KOs in Bellator history, I think. And he even knocked out Michael Chandler. I don't know why I felt like slipping that in, but it's a fun thing. It's a fun detail to have. And this is not the first time that he's a newcomer in UFC, and this is not the first time that a newcomer in the UFC has been thrown into the deep end. We know that Michael Venom Page, Michael Chandler, Alex Pereira, all came to the UFC and started big, started with big fights. And at 37, I think it's justified, and he has built enough credibility to come straight in and fight a contender or like a great fighter like Yair Rodriguez, right? He also packs a lot of power. I like the way he speaks. I have not seen a lot of him, but 2 or 3 fights that I've seen of him on Bellator, they have been epic. His knockouts are great. If you haven't checked them out, please check them out. And I think it's a very interesting fight, right? Because on one hand, Yair Rodriguez, he's coming back on the back of 2 losses. Still, he's a very rangy fighter. He's very unpredictable. I call him the UFC ninja for good reason. He's got amazing variety in kicks. He looked like the complete package before he kind of lost his way and didn't make it as a champ or become a champion. But still, he is only 32 years old. To that, Patricio Pitbull is 37. Father time doesn't wait for anyone, and this is not the Bellator, this is the UFC, and we want to see whether he has it in the UFC as well. He's basically the GOAT of Bellator. He's the Michael Jordan of Bellator. Some might call him the LeBron James of Bellator, right? And the interesting fact is that he is just 5'7", whereas Yair is 5'11". He has a massive 71-inch reach, Yair Rodriguez, to Pitbull's 65-inch reach, which will make it very difficult, I think, in some ways. He also, I think the only way for Pitbull is to make it like a grind, keep the range, basically not keep the range, keep Yair really close, not let him have that much range on him so that he can use his kicks and his fast movements. And that's the only way I think he can kind of grind it out and tire him out, and then if he lands a good shot and wobbles him, or if he gets a knockout, I think that's it's going to be a hell of a fight. um, and who knows whether Pitbull will be another Alex Pereira who will take UFC by the storm. You never know. He's 37, but sometimes people can defy their age. We will get on more on the age part later in the video, but I think it's going to be a great fight. And on top of that, I think the next fight that I wanted to talk about is about Bryce Mitchell with Jean Silva. This is like the Armageddon, like Bryce Mitchell has been the villain in most people's eyes in the recent past. I think he's one of the most hated fighters in the internet, and for good reason. First of all, he got run down. I mean, he was a good prospect. He was unbeaten until he got run down by Topuria, and that's fine. We all know now that Topuria is a great fighter. He's a knockout artist. It's amazing. Technically, he's like almost a complete fighter to me, to be honest. On top of that killer confidence that he has. But after that, he got knocked out by Josh Emmett, and I think something changed in him. That was the fight for the first time in UFC, or I think in any promotion, that a fighter got a knockout, and after getting knocked out, he got a CTE-induced seizure, which is really sad, come to think about it. But I don't know if it did something to his brain or not. No offense, but I'm really honestly asking the question, because since then he's come out with statements like the earth is flat. Maybe it was there before the knockout, who knows, I don't know. He's also come out, for some reason he had this genius idea of being in a podcast and come out that Hitler is a great guy apparently, before he became Hitler. I mean, to paraphrase his statement, and it is his statement, let's be very clear, that he said that Hitler would have been a great guy had he not been in meth. That is hilarious, but that is absolutely batshit crazy, right? And then he also mentioned that he would have probably been fishing buddies with Hitler if he wasn't on meth. And and Dana White is absolutely pissed off with this guy, Bryce Mitchell. I think he just wants to get his contract done, or maybe he wants to see that the negative cloud that Bryce Mitchell got, maybe it's better for his numbers. But he is absolutely pissed off. He actually pointed out in one of the press conferences that this guy literally took the drill and ran it down his ball sack, ran it down his scrotum, and had to reverse engineer it to get it out. So that's really dumb, right? And he's like the devil. He's like kind of like picturized as the devil in a human vessel, and I don't know like how he's going to come out of this fight, but right now he's one of the biggest villains in the internet. And talking about his opponent, Jean Silva, don't underestimate this guy. This bout might seem like a run-of-the-mill card filler or something like that. This fight is nothing like that, in my opinion, because Jean Silva is, I feel he's guaranteed to be at the champs table, or at least be a contender in the near future, because this guy is a killer. Like he might seem unassuming, but he's a beast. He's unbeaten in the UFC. He's got like 12 finishes with 14 KOs and TKOs. And I was thrilled when he called out Bryce Mitchell, after knocking out Muzurg. And definitely is champ material. And I think the only chance that Bryce Mitchell has with Silva is to wrestle and maybe go for an Hail Mary, or look to tap him out in some way. Like that's the only thing that I can see out of this fight from Bryce Mitchell's point of view. But Silva, it seems like he'll wipe the floor with him, and it's kind of like the promotion or UFC is kind of tipping this fight or like a stepping stone for Jean Silva to move on to bigger things. And it's kind of easy money for the promotion. I think it's easy money for the promotion. But imagine, like, UFC has fed the biggest heel right now to Jean Silva to get it over with. I think Dana White has had enough. But imagine if Bryce Mitchell wins this fight. Imagine that. If he wins that fight and gets the microphone again, I don't know what he'll come up with. Seriously. So let's see. That's like a hell of a fight, I think. And let's see. But my prediction will be that it will be a quick fight. I think Silva wins by knockout in second round. That's my prediction. And I think I forgot to give the prediction for Yair against Pitbull. It's very hard to call. It's very hard to call. For some reason, I don't feel like betting against Yair. I don't feel like he has 3 losses in a row in him, because if he loses again, I think the book is kind of closed in terms of ever having a contender fight. It might not be true, but he's an entertaining fighter. He's damn talented. I think Yair will get Pitbull, but let's see what happens. That I'm just making a prediction for that, but I'm really unsure on that. And let's move on to the UFC sweethearts, Dana White's second and third son, that is Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett. I don't want to be derogatory in terms of, or kind of snide in terms of making this comment, but come on man, Michael, I'll never see you at the top, Chandler. This guy, when he came over from Bellator, like, I thought, okay, this guy has got that spring in his step. He is apparently really good at wrestling. He's got good striking. He looks like a beast. I thought that this guy is going to make it good in the UFC. And to be honest, yes, his fights are entertaining, but I'm kind of sick and tired of the lack of fight IQ. I'm just sick and tired of it, because it's just, I don't know, it's just blah. I mean, this guy is still ranked number 7. I don't understand how. And he always gets like a tough fight. He waited for 2 years for Conor McGregor fight, which never came. Okay. And right away, he got a contenders fight against Charles Oliveira. I don't understand it. Like, why? On top of that, he got absolutely outclassed by Charles Oliveira after cheating numerous times in the fight. And then maybe he had some moment in the 5th round of him kind of slamming down with Charles Oliveira on his back like multiple times. That's another dumb thing to do. Yeah, like, he has got great power. He was literally doing pistol squats with Charles Oliveira on his back. But okay, this is not like a lifting competition, right? We are here to see something, like some kind of challenge for a top contender, apparently, according to Dana White, because he never seems to go down in the ranking, and he's right now 2-4 in the UFC. This is like relentless. I would say this is relentless, absolutely. The way he keeps getting good fights, and finally he's gotten a fight with someone who's below him in the rankings. Paddy Pimblett, Scouser. And I have got a lot of love for Paddy, and I love the camaraderie that he shared with Molly McCann and their Scouts ways. I was never a big fan of how he used to gain weight immediately after a fight. That's never sustainable. He seems to have gotten off that train for a bit, and he's on upward trajectory again. I think he got some bad rep after criticizing Ariel Helwani, who I think is a dicey human being. I like his coverage. I'm digressing a little bit. The show is literally called Eventual Digressions. But Ariel Helwani sometimes, presses the wrong buttons just to get some clout. That's my opinion. Yes, he is one of the oldest people to cover the UFC and mixed martial arts, and he's great at his job, and Okay, he's got a good show, but he presses the wrong buttons. Like I feel there are a lot more great shows right now, of UFC, and even Ariel's show are good, but is good. But I think, I mean, Paddy Pimlet got too much of flack, um, uh, you know, after criticizing him, and after that, I think he's kind of um, had that weird fight, which was really close, and then he won, and then he kind of beat up, for lack of a better word, the corpse of Tony Ferguson. I really, really pray for Tony Ferguson. Like, man has to really find a way to retire. We know he's a legend. He's good. I mean, he's just got to retire. Or UFC needs to pay more. Maybe, I don't know. Because why doesn't he retire already? And then after that, he had that sweet poetic submission of Bobby Green, and I think he's done well. And this is a good stepping stone for him. If he can beat Michael Chandler, which is possible, of course, it is going to propel him again to like a top contender. Definitely, this is going to, the winner of the fight will again become a contender in the weight class. Also, he's never been knocked out so far, but I don't think he is someone like Michael Chandler who kind of lets it go right from the beginning of the rounds. If Paddy can fight smart, I would say he should just fight smart, and I think he got it covered. He just needs to fight smart and find a way to trip up Michael Chandler. They shouldn't go toe to toe with him, because that's just dumb. And that is why he's got 4 losses to 2 wins in the UFC. So yeah, enough of that. And lastly, the call out that Michael Chandler had after getting beaten by Charles Oliveira was incredible. He wanted a BMF fight with Max Holloway, or he wanted again Conor McGregor. I'm like, I don't know. At this point, I think he should just get into YouTube boxing and just entertain, right? Like, why is he doing UFC? And yeah, let's move on from this. I think it's going to be a good co-main event, though. I think it's going to be an entertaining fight. I'm not saying that the fight is not going to be interesting and I won't be hyped up to watch it. I'm super hyped to watch it, but I'm just sick and tired of that low fight IQ. And talking about fight IQs, the main event of the card, moving on to it, is one of the people with the highest fight IQs I've ever seen. Alexander the Great Volkanovski, and I'm one of his biggest fans. I really love him as a fighter, and let's just talk a little bit about him. What happened to him. So Volkanovski, he was one of the best featherweights of all time, I would say. I mean, he is maybe the best. Who knows right now? And the way he took the division, the way he used to conduct himself, how relentless he was, how honest his fighting looked, how technical it looked, the fight IQ, everything was off the charts. And I was a huge fan. I'm still a huge fan. And the way he kind of defeated Jose Aldo, and after that he went from strength to strength. He made Max Holloway, who is one of my favorite fighters as well, look like a schoolboy, in some of the fights, especially in the third fight, I think. And no one can take that away from him. Like he was unbeatable at 145. He was absolutely unbeatable. And I would say his biggest moment still came at 155 against Islam Makhachev. He's still undefeated, and at that time, it was unfathomable that anyone will even give a fight to Islam. And in that first bout against Islam, the way the fight ended with him hitting shot after shot, with Islam lying down on top of Islam, was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. I think he was really hyped by that. And after that, the mistakes started. I'm not even talking about the fights. I'm just saying he took the Islam fight, the second fight, a little bit too early. He was a little too eager in the press conference, I felt. after the fight, because he heard like Islam wanted a rematch and he really wanted to become a double champ. And it was too early because Islam was hydrated and he was looking big, and Volk got knocked out. And that was, if you get knocked out at that age, sometimes it's really hard to come back. you know and I think mentally he was not doing well. I saw some of his interviews. He was really, he was impatient. I was watching a lot of cooking with the Volk and his cooking show on YouTube. It's really nice. I love the way he makes the steaks and everything. And after that, he came back again too early. Against whom? Against Ilya Topuria. It seemed at that time one of the worst matchups, and one of the worst fights to come into, especially underprepared, because he again took it in a very short notice. He lost his unbeaten streak on the UFC. He lost his featherweight title, and after that, two brutal knockouts is horrendous for a fighter like him. I feel really bad. And no one can get away from father time, but I feel with his mistakes of taking these fights too early, he kind of accelerated it. But who knows? I still believe in him, and luckily after the Ilya defeat, he again wanted a rematch. I know he's a beast, he's a competitor. I'm talking Volkanovski, but really luckily, the UFC did not make that fight happen, and then I think it was for the best. And Ilya vacated the title, and it's perfect. I think it's kind of much a better scenario for him to kind of redeem his legacy. Not that I feel that his legacy is ruined or anything, but still, whatever dent is there in his legacy, he has the opportunity to smoothen it out. But he's fighting against Lopez, and Lopez is the next generation. He's the person who's looking to take the torch from Volk. He's a beast as well. And not many remember that Lopez was a hopeful for the Contender series, and he couldn't make the cut. And after that, I think UFC brought him back for Moser Imaev, and they thought that he'll get smashed, but he gave everything he had in that fight, and eventually won fight of the night because of him, right? And it was a great fight. And since then, he's pelted everyone who's come his way. He's not lost a single fight. He's pelted everyone apart from Dan Ige, who fought him 4 hours notice. And I think that was the only fight where it seemed like he was a little off. Sorry, I'm not going to make a transition. My camera just conked off. But I'm back again. As I was saying, my cat here is doing some stretches. As I was saying, I think apart from the Danige fight, Lopez has been really good. He made up for that fight as well with Brian Ortega. He got a beautiful submission, and I think it's not going to be a easy fight, in the sense that I do feel that Volk in this case has got the higher IQ. He's got the better skills. He's better on the feet. But Lopez thrives on chaos. He just thrives on chaos, and one defensive misstep by Volk, and he can be knocked down. He can be wobbled. He can be knocked out. Who knows how his chin is? And this is a classic passing down the torch, or saving, kind of not saving the legacy, but kind of smoothing out the dent in Volk's legacy. And I really do hope Volk does it. I don't know. I don't want to seem biased. I really like Lopez, but I'm a huge fan of Volk, and I think if he loses this, his book is closed. He will become a vet. He'll get some good fights, but he's kind of not going to get back to that contender level. Yes, he's become older. Father time waits for no one, but I think he's the only person who can defy it. On top of that, I think he's got really good cardio. As we all know, Volk, I hope his conditioning is still good. I hope he doesn't turn up as a shell of himself. And as I said, I think Lopez kind of tires out after the second round. So if Volk can be technical, can be smart about it, can use his fight IQ and stretch it beyond 2 rounds, I think he's got a great chance. This is if the Volk I think turns up. The Volk I think will turns up. So yeah, all in all, this card is epic. I cannot wait. I'm super hyped. I'm super pumped. I feel that this there are going to be some surprises or some insane fights. Maybe some fights to remember. Who knows? And I hope you guys are too. And uh, I'll see you soon. The UFC 314 happening in Miami, Kaseya Center. Bring it on, UFC. See you.